And we're live. Hi, everybody. This is Meredith Loughran with Matthew Harris, and this is Geek Speak. And we're over on IndieVolt. It's Monday, and we're in a new time slot. I don't have all of my stuff migrated over here as far as our intro. I'm getting ready to do that now while Matthew says hello and
tap dances
tap
and
dances a little bit. Yeah, smoke and mirrors, smoke and mirrors.
well, folks, this is our second show on IndieVolt Radio, and so welcome to those of you that are tuning in. If you are tuning in elsewhere on the podcast or YouTube or Facebook or all that, again, welcome to the show. This is Geek Speak, as she said, and we like to generally have guests on here where we talk about just the geek behind the entertainment, whether they are filmmakers, actors, writers, producers, whatever the case may be, musicians. We get them on the show, and we don't even like calling them interviews. We like calling them conversations because rarely, we might have one or two questions a piece that we write down, but other than that, we like to see where the guest takes the conversation. And
Well, yeah, and we had a really busy weekend, so trying to line somebody up in addition to the whole weekend of IndieVent was kind of challenging. But yeah, I'm still looking for that file, Matthew. Keep smoke and mirrors, smoke and mirrors.
But and folks, those of you that are listening in on IndieVolt, you can also see the video version of this on the IndieVolt YouTube as well as the Geek Insider YouTube. So you go to YouTube, you look up IndieVolt. Make sure you subscribe there for one thing, because there's a lot more shows than ours. But if you want to catch to the Geek Speak or Geeky, Cheeky, and Downright Freaky and all of those shows that aren't on IndieVolt, make sure you subscribe to ours as well on YouTube. We have a lot of fun here, folks, and we have a big, hey, Phil, we have a lot of interviews and stuff in our library on our YouTube channel, because while this is just our second show on IndieVolt, we have been going for a while. Meredith and I have. And so we've had interviews with, again, a lot of filmmakers and musicians. And I guarantee you, folks, if you like an eclectic style of, not eclectic style, but a wide range of music, you're really going to like our interviews with musicians, because I tell you, for the last year, and this is in part due to my OCD, I've only listened to mainly 21 Pilots while I write and while I'm doing my editing, while I'm working, while I'm writing. And it's just because I love their music, and I only found them a year or so ago. But thanks to the relationships that we have forged with Geek Speak, we got to meet some killer artists, musicians. One was Joe Hertler and the Rainbow Seekers. I really fell in love with them, and I actually have their exclusive permission to play one of their songs at the closing of my show, Geeky, Cheeky, and Downright Freaky. And then we've met Love Child, which has a killer song I love called Hats Off. We've met Thank You Scientists, which
Tom Mondo was really a lot of fun.
Cool. He was.
And Sam Tenez is another one.
Yes. Now, Sam Tenez, I really want to get on a Monday show. I want to get several of the musicians on, but Sam, he is really kind of one of those hidden jewels, because he has done some collaborations with some folks that really just coalesce with him perfectly. These guys, the Joe Hertler and the Rainbow Seekers and Sam Tenez, they've made it into my daily playlist. Not exaggerating in the least. I turn to my Amazon. I can't say her name because you know how she is. You say her name and she kicks on, but I have her usually start out with Sam, then I listen to Joe, and then I listen to 21 Pilots, because Meredith and I have really long work days. But I'm planning on bringing those guys back, because Meredith and I have always been able to to get permission to play their videos / songs on our shows. And we want to bring that to IndieVolt as well, because we know that there are folks all over the world that are tuned in tonight, and you may not have had a chance to hear of these people. And I'm telling you, some of these folks' music are just really good. Thank You Scientist has a really big following. Joe Hertler and the Rainbow Seekers and Love Child are more in the New Jersey, New York area as far as their local following goes, but they're building up. But anyway, so it just where the long story longer, we have a lot in our library on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe over there. But we are here Monday nights at 8:00 Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific, and whatever your time zone may be, because I'm not that good. I can barely name the United States time zones. And if you talk about mountain time, I get really screwed up because they're weird. But
I was going to say, Matthew, I found the intro, so we're going to play that. And
there we
I
go.
saw somebody pop into our green room, and I'm going to see if he wants to pop on screen with us. So we'll be right back after our intro.
Geek Insider presents Geek Speak with Matthew Harris and Meredith Loughran. We cover entertainment, news, and tech with special guest appearances. So sit back and enjoy as we geek out together right now.
And we're back. So I wanted to do, we had a weekend full of IndEEvent stuff. And anybody who's not familiar with it, do a hashtag search iNDEEvengers, and you're going to see us popping up all over the place. We had a weekend full of comic books,
yes.
The creators, the writers, the illustrators, the publishers, people who are in and around the business. And it was just amazing fun. A lot of people were bringing their own shows. We had Roland Mann from Silverline Comics, who did an hour panel. We had Chuck Pinot, who's a great editor of comic books. He was there with Chuck's Conversations. We had.
And this wasn't. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and this wasn't our first indie event, folks. This was actually our 4th since April, and wasn't it, Meredith? Our 4th.
Gosh, we've had a few.
But since in April, March, April, when everything started shutting down, Meredith and I decided immediately, before anybody else that we knew of had decided to do this virtual con kind of thing. We were like, we wanted to do something for the indie folks. And it wasn't called indie event. It was called Independence Con. And you can still iNDEEvengers con.com. You can still go there. Mm-hmm. But we at Geek Insider, we love the independent creators, whether they're artists, writers, directors, filmmakers, producers, what have you. We love the independents. And that was one thing that Meredith and I just really totally agreed on from the beginning. And we started that in April, and it went really well. And in fact, not to toot our own horn, but there were several folks that followed after us, quite a few. And we were told by many of our guests that ours they had the most fun at ours. And
well, I mean, that's what it's all about. It's about fun,
exactly,
information, and at the end of the day, you just, it's like, oh, wow, did we learn something? Oh, wow, are we actually networking and finding new to meet people? That was the
big thing for me. And all across all of these ones that we've done is the networking that we've done. The friendships that we've forged over the last few months has just been invaluable. We have met some of the most talented people that are continuing to try to entertain the folks that we love, the geeks. And and then we've made some very cool fans like Sarah. She makes it to almost every one of our shows. And we've just made some really great friendships because of those cons. And folks, this lady over here, I always get it back asswards. This lady over here, she's the one that's run the last several indie cons, and most of the time it's within just a couple of weeks of planning. As a matter of fact, all three of them. We did the first one and we were like, okay, we're going to do a second one in July, the Independence Con. And we're going to make sure we start planning now. And then Meredith and I said, no, we're not going to do it. And so we put it off and put it off.
Procrastination. I am a glutton for punishment. I love to torture myself, apparently. But not anymore, because Sarah, you noticed our background, and there is something that we are doing special, and we're planning it now.
And she mentioning that she's a
green room. Come in if you want to. You are more than welcome to.
She mentioned that she's a glutton for punishment, folks. This shows you how much. She just finished indie event last night, all weekend long, Saturday and Sunday, all day. And she messages me first thing this morning and says, Matthew, we need to talk about the next event that we're doing. And you can kind of get an idea of where we're going with this. This was our original plan after April. After the first indie event, we said we're going to do one towards the end of the year with a certain theme. But then it morphed, and we ended up adding a couple more since then. But we're gonna talk.
You know what? I'm gonna say that I think I was actually voluntold by Rob Anderson with these other othis Hey, Randy.
Hey there.
So,
no. You can't blame Rob.
This last one, he was just like, yeah, you can put it together. At least that's how I'm seeing it. He might pop in and go, you're wrong, Meredith, you're wrong.
I saw it just from my side of things, and no, you're wrong. You were totally 100% in on that.
I love these. You know what? I have been organizing online community events for a couple of years, believe it or not. I kind of started it in Steemit. I don't know if anybody here is familiar with Steemit.
Oh, I'm sure.
But it's an online blogging platform. It's since morphed into something else. I honestly haven't been there, but I would say almost 4 years ago, when I was brand new there, it was just one of those community engagement challenges. It was to get people to write and to interact with one another and building up their social network and their presence and finding friends. And it was really great. And I love doing things like that. So from Steemit to Crypto Trader News to Geek Insider to where we are now, and this collaboration with IndieVolt, with Comic Book Advocates and Geek Insider, all kind of working together to use our networks for the greater good of comics, and entertainment, and tech, and all of these things. It's just so exciting for me. But before I get into what we're planning on, because Randy's in here, I want you to introduce yourself. I know this is the IndieVolt.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to horn in.
No, I'm glad that you did. We left an open link for anybody who wants to pop in here. But so I know that we've got the IndieVolt listeners, and they know who you are. But I'd like you to introduce yourself to the Geek Insider audience.
Hey, IndieVolt listeners and Geek Insider audience, how you doing? I'm Randy Zimmerman. I've been doing alternative and independent comics for a very long time. I've done just about everything in the direct market that you can possibly do. Retailed for years, created for years, freelanced for years, self-published for years. I even got out of the business for a little while and created my own newspaper that I gave around locally because I was tired of the direct market and came back and just love sequential art. That's the easiest way to put it. Right now, I do sequential art for advertising and educational purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And Randy, I got to say, with the sequential art, the Sunday Funnies show that you're doing here on IndieVolt, man, that is just bringing back so many memories because that was my first taste into quote unquote comics, was the funnies, the Top Hat or Top Cat or whatever his name was, and Richie Rich and those kind of things. And then of course the actual Sunday funnies that came in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Dad would hand them to me, and I'd get to go through the color comics and those kind of things. So, folks, if you have not tuned into Randy's Sunday Funnies show, that is on IndieVolt, right, Randy?
Yeah, it's on IndieVolt. It's on at 9 a.m. on Sunday. So
That's
why we call it Sunday Funnies.
I'm about to do a little bump, and we're playing that for you guys.
It's my bump.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Randy's bump.
Now, every Sunday morning, longtime independent comics creator and IndieVolt podcaster Randy Zimmerman hosts a discussion on the lighter side of comics, the more whimsical and fun comics out there on the Sunday Funnies. That's 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday on IndieVolt, IndieVolt.com, the IndieVolt YouTube channel, and the usual IndieVolt sites on Facebook. Listen in, won't you? Participate in the chat. Let's have some fun. See you there.
Now, I'm guessing...
And that's really how I started, Matthew. Is my folks didn't allow me to have superhero comics when I was a kid.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
So I read everything else.
I didn't get into the superhero comics until the early 90s when the same week, and I've told this story before, that they were breaking Batman's back and killing off Superman with Doomsday. Oh. And my next door neighbor was having a birthday. He was a 12, 13-year-old boy. Yeah. And so I was out and about. I was like, I'm going to find a comic book shop and I'm going to buy him these 2 comics for his birthday. Well, when I was buying them for him, I said, well, this is, monumental. They're breaking Batman's back and killing Superman. I should buy them myself. Yeah. Being OCD, Batman has always been one of my favorites. And so I ended up going back a decade, man. And it took me over a year to go back a decade and collect all of Detective Comics and Batman. I stayed away from Shadow of the Bat. It was a little weird. And there was one other title. But that's when I got into the superhero comics. Mm-hmm. But, I'm guessing that one of the comics that was independent and it was kind of a Sunday funny for psychos will not make it into your show, and that's Milk and Cheese.
Oh, no. Milk and Cheese is welcome. I love that. Anything that's not that dark angst, Sin City type, too realistic type of comic is more than welcome on the Sunday Funnies, and I'm a big fan of Milk and Cheese.
Oh, dude! Now you're one of the first ones.
I've got the big collection that Dark Horse kicked out some years ago with the orange cover, the hardback.
Yes,
beautiful.
Yes. Now you're one of the first ones that's actually known who the hell I was talking about, and I didn't have to explain about dairy products gone bad, because Meredith, it's like. I don't even know how to explain it. It's 2 thugs that one is milk and one is cheese, and they beat the shit out of people that are just stupid, and it's hilarious. I loved it, and that was one of the original ones that really got my taste going for the independents.
Well, it's really a prime example of comics as therapy.
Yeah,
because Evan Dorkin, the genius who was behind Milk and Cheese, would always find something to hate, and then he'd spend at least 2 pages having Milk and Cheese go through, usually with large bats and clubs or whatever, and beat up whatever he hated.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to read up on that because my husband has actually approached me with a couple of ideas that he had. He doesn't write prose, but he has always got these ideas, and he's got this really warped sense of humor. And I wrote it down, but it's basically kind of like inanimate objects with personality. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to give too much away because I actually want to write up a couple of story arcs with it. But it's friggin' funny,
Well, you definitely need to go for it and help him out with that because there's
cheese sounds like, okay, I need to read that and make sure that it could be something that's in the subconscious, and I don't want to go, like saying you've plagiarized this idea. In the green room, we have Varian Grant. You are more than welcome to let yourself in, my friend.
Well, if you look at the background on the Sunday's Funnies spot as you go by, there's all sorts of different comics back there. There's really hardcore underground stuff that most people, wouldn't talk about nowadays because they're doing all those non-PC subjects. There are really lighthearted old style books. There's whimsical, even old whimsical superhero books. Because if you go back and you look at comic sales back when they were selling millions, the big character back then was the Shazam Captain Marvel character, and he had talking tigers, alligators that were villains. There are all sorts of really strange things going on.
I swear that they were doing some killer LSD at that time.
Oh no! That was a little before that drug age, but
okay.
right after that, when you go and you look at like Kirby's stuff when he's doing New Gods and that, people, somebody with that big and that fertile of an imagination. That the real hard drug era though are those really cool old 70s Marvel books. You go through and read Don McGregor on Killraven with P. Craig Russell and Shang-Chi. Was an amazing book that you never see collected around anymore. There was some real trippy books back at Marvel during that period.
Well, okay,
that was the recreational stuff.
One of my favorite characters growing up was Shmoo. Mm-hmm. Who did that one?
That was Al Cap that did that. That came from Little Abner.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That was a comic strip in the paper.
Now,
and little Al Cap was one of the biggest, most hardcore conservatives you could ever imagine. He was the first one that people really way back when tried to cancel because he had very hardcore Republican. What you would consider now Republican. Back then, it was very Democratic Party.
Right.
But very hardcore, very pro Second Amendment, very conservative views. Some of which slipped into Little Abner, but Little Abner was a hillbilly. Comic strip, which nowadays you'd never do.
No.
Never. So non-PC, it's not even funny.
Now,
he used to pick on the cops back then. He had a real aggressive cop called Fearless Fosdick. That would run
oh my God. Yeah. I ain't even thought of this stuff in forever, Randy.
I'm a big encyclopedia of this stuff because this is what I love.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Why? Because we know that Randy is working on a history book of comics.
Right. Now,
hopefully it'll shake a few people up. So.
Meredith,
that's the idea.
I'm assuming that we don't have any of our other bumps loaded up here, and so
I might have a couple of them. But Varian, I see you popped in here.
Yeah, he hadn't even talked yet.
Yeah, no, I was just listening to the conversation, and
What it was is we were talking about food, milk and cheese. So he said, "I got to come in." Milk and cheese.
I was interested in that, and then I came in. And Randy was talking about old comics, and I could smell the newsprint.
Mm-hmm.
I could smell it.
And taking
old people right now.
And taking what was it, silly putty on the old comics?
Oh yeah,
putting them on there and stretching it out.
Yeah, I mean,
those were the first swiped memes. Right there.
Yeah, it sounds like a good old time.
Stretch them out a little bit, and
you guys had your newsprint, and your toxic silly putty, and your asbestos sweatsuits, and
we had Sunday funny sections that were 16 pages long.
Right, you could spend a half an hour reading the Sunday funnies, man. And your parents would hand it to you because it would keep you busy while Dad read the sports section or the Metro or whatever.
Got and then, of course, his Saturday night hangover is what it was.
Right. And then you couldn't get them out of order if it was my dad.
Oh, there's John. Somebody. We mentioned old. Here's John.
You're more than welcome to come in.
You had to give it back in the right order for my dad. But, real quick, I want to mention before we do discuss the indie event from this last weekend and we reveal what's coming in November, I want to kind of give a teaser. Like I said earlier, we are into the independent comics big time and independent creators of all sorts. But one of, if not the biggest indie comic for me personally is She, SHI. And I have a tattoo of Anna from 25 years ago. It was the first non-American Eagle tattoo I got after the Marine Corps. And I had lithographs of her. I had the whole run. Anyway, here in the next couple of weeks, we are having Billy Tucci on our IndieVolt, our Monday night show here. I've been speaking with him and his wife. They are freaking fantastic people for one thing, but they are Billy is coming on the show here within the next week or two. And so make sure that you tell your friends, you tune in, you subscribe to IndieVolt YouTube, you subscribe to the Geek Insider YouTube. And I will let you know the specific date once Billy is coming on. And like I said, this is, other than being able to go back in time and grab Bill Finger, or when we got his granddaughter Athena a couple of months ago, which you can find on our YouTube. Billy is one of my biggest gets, just because, I can't. Well, actually, let's see here. Let's see if I can do it, because down on that bottom shelf,
swing it around,
if you see, that is a She statue.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. I thought you were getting ready to flash us, Matthew. I was a little bit frightened.
No, we're not a G-rated show, but I ain't gonna show nudity, man. Especially, I don't want nobody to be laughing at my ass.
And Matthew, when you have Billy on, you have to move to that top shelf.
Oh yeah,
this is true. Yeah, so that she's right up there. But yeah, and this is stuff that I'll reveal to Billy as well. I sent him a picture of my tattoo years ago because my collection got stolen after I got my tattoo. And so this is stuff, and I actually wrote to Billy trying to get the lithograph that I based my tattoo off. And unfortunately, because you had to buy 1 and 2 through Diamond distribution, I believe. Now, I may be wrong, but I know it was an insert, and it said, hey, this is coming. If you order these 2, you get these 2 lithographs. So I did, and I based my tattoo off of one of those. It all got stolen. I wrote to Billy, and this was, again, 25 years ago, and I was like, hey, do you happen to have this one lithograph? And he didn't. And so, and then this was, like I mentioned earlier, a decade's worth of Batman that was ripped off. All my She, Tomo, Lady Death, which I had met Brian Pulido, and he had signed a bunch of stuff and given me stuff. I met Drew Hayes from Poison Elves, and he had signed a bunch of stuff, and now he's dead. I had just all these independent artists that I personally love, and it all got ripped off. And as you guys know, you spend a shit ton of money putting that together in the first place, and lots of time going through the long boxes, digging through, looking for that number 117 that's missing from your fucking collection.
Sure.
And so when someone rips it off, or it's suddenly gone, lost in a fire or what have you, which I've heard about from other people, it's just so disheartening that you're like, screw this, I'm not going to look anymore. But anyway, Varian, that statue will definitely, that's a good point. It'll have to go up here on the top shelf. But Meredith, I do want, because this was what the whole show was supposed to be about. We're almost 30 minutes in. Tell us about this last weekend with IndieEvent. How did it go? Who all you kind of mentioned a couple of the guests that were on, but give us a recap of the comic book IndieEvent.
Well, Saturday was packed full of people bringing their shows to the IndieEvent umbrella. And, the site IndieEvent.com is hosted by Geek Insider, but we were live streaming across IndieVolt, radio. Varian, I don't know if you ever got those numbers, because I know the system was getting wacky. And yesterday, we had internet outages. Today, I think, was a little bit funky. So, who the heck knows? And then we had a couple of trolls who were hitting, they were saying that we were spam. And I don't know if they were going after the hashtag, or if they were going after us or whatever. I don't know. But Rob Anderson, he was in there, and he was like, nope, nope. And they basically reversed it. So there were a lot of our videos that, some time periods where it was kind of hidden. But we had some great people. I mean, I mentioned earlier, we had Roland Mann bring his show over for an hour. He was talking Silverline Comics and what's in the pipeline for them. Michael Watson was here, Luke Stone, Chuck Pinault. He was talking with Kyron Silva. I think that's his last name. Gamal Hennessy did an hour panel, and I mean, definitely check that out. I think I've got his QR code here. Let me just pop this in here real quickly, because I think if anybody is looking into publishing a comic book, you need this book, The Business of Independent Comic Book Publishing. If you're watching on YouTube, get your phone out, do a scan of this QR code. It's going to go directly to his Kickstarter. And
that was the kick-ass thing that you added this time to the indie event, was the QR code. And when we reveal what's coming in November here in just a few minutes, folks, this is something else that we hope to include on this. And so if you are relevant to what we're going to have the next indie event for, take the 5 freaking minutes and do what Meredith says, because I just want to say something here. Meredith works hella hard on these events, and for those that kind of put things off and wait till the last minute and make Meredith chase you down, why should we? You are trying to promote your stuff. We are trying to help you. Help Meredith help you, to help me help you. Exactly. If you are interested in being a part of these events, go on the Geek Insider YouTube or Facebook or IndieVolts YouTube or Facebook when we have these little messages for you guys, because I have to get strict on Meredith and tell her, no, you're going to stop this and you're going to make these guys do the freaking work, because Meredith is very, I'm just going to say it, she's anal and she likes keeping control of everything.
Oh, I thought you were going to call me sweet. Okay, good.
Well, no, I know you. I've known you for a couple of years. So sweet is in there, but it's down the list.
See, I tell my husband I'm delicate like a butterfly, and he laughs. I don't understand why, but he does.
Well, Pat and I, Pat is so gracious to loan you to us and to me and to us when these things go on, because he knows that he is a virtual widower when these things go on. He doesn't get to see his wife. But no, really, when
and I do want to give a shout out to my husband, Pat Loughran. I love you. He keeps me in coffee. And he keeps me in goldfish.
And, it doesn't matter that the coffee is spiked with Valium. At least it is keeping her working and keeping her sane. But no, really, folks, when we put these things on, whether it's Geek Insider or and I'm going to butcher everybody's shows, but there's so many shows, Rob's, Demon Phil, Demon Phil.
Demon Phil does Demon Nation and Unscripted. He was part of IndieVent.
And what's the long-haired guy's name? I always forget his name. Old man.
Pops.
Pops. Yeah. Why am I forgetting that? I'm called madness. Pop by my grandkids. But
bearded guy. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Which
one?
I'm
the bearded guy.
Yeah, so many of them.
So many of them. Yeah.
And then there's the old man that is just so damn funny,
That's Pops again.
But no, when Meredith goes to do these things, everybody, and she's asking you to do 1 or 2 little things for you to be involved, take the 2 freaking minutes or the 5 freaking minutes and get her that. Don't make her chase you down at the last minute, because she has enough on her plate. I voluntold her enough to keep her busy Monday through Friday. She doesn't need y'all helping. And go ahead, Meredith.
Well, no, I was going to give out a few more shout outs because Sierra Nova Comics was there. We had Greg Kenny Moquin from Sierra Nova Comics. He also does a podcast, and I think that he's probably looking for guests as well. So, he's somebody to go and visit and talk with and connect with. Henri Compen, Mara V, JD Calderon, Robert Chesanek. I think I said his name right this time. Mark Darden was there. We had so many creators. I had Mog Park, who's a great illustrator, Enes Eskander, who has Ava.
I
Christy
can't wait to
Shin
get
was
my hands on Ava.
I know. Well,
The comic. He meant
yes,
the
the
comic.
comics. Let's. Just,
I didn't say Ennis. I didn't say Ennis. I said Ava.
We had Wendy Steen Shaner. I know they recently renamed their con. And I don't want to misquote or anything like that, but so we've got a lot of things that are happening, and we're really excited about this next one. And
before you reveal it, Varian, can you tell us where we've got listeners tonight and how many we're looking at?
I actually can give you where they're coming from. I can give you where they're coming from. So tonight, let's see here, 1 second. Oops. Trying breaking stuff.
Oops.
Yeah.
That's always the thing you want to hear from your station manager and your doctor.
Just trying to break some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, the minute I say oops, you know that it's all going downhill, right? All right, 1 second. Sorry. The one program that it came back up like when I went mute, that's why it came back up. Like, hey, wait a minute.
And I'm sure they want to be paid. I'm sure you're going to say like, I'll pay you in a couple of days.
Oh well, yeah. Payday for this stuff is
because it works that way.
That's not gonna that doesn't happen until tomorrow.
Yeah. Payday
when the month rolls over.
Yeah, they're looking for their money. So you guys can thank the UK right now, Mexico, and Australia. You are currently broadcasting to over 40,000 people, 41,516 to be exact.
Very nice.
Welcome everyone.
And that doesn't count the people on YouTube and the people on
Facebook and our podcast that'll come
other places.
Later in the week. It'll be on the podcast. But okay, Meredith, we teased it enough.
Well, I'm going to do a little bit of a bump here first, as long as it doesn't. Are we okay to do a Mobile Edge bump, Varian?
That's fine.
Okay, we're going to be right back.
Check it out. MobileEdge.com has award-winning products with innovative features and contemporary, edgy designs that empower you to look sharp and travel smart with your mobile tech. Your beloved, not to mention expensive gaming gear and mobile tech devices are an extension of you, so give them the protection and style they deserve wherever you go. Find them at MobileEdge.com and protect your tech with Mobile Edge. Bring it on. Hey Geek Insiders, Mobile Edge has a special coupon code for our dedicated listeners. Get 25% off your Mobile Edge gear using coupon code GEEK25. That's GEEK25. Geek out.
All right, and we're back. Matthew, what were they doing over at Mobile Edge? Was there something that we can announce?
Yeah, they are because of the pandemic and the fact that a lot of the esports conventions are shut down and that a lot of the schools are shut down. They have these backpacks that are badass, guys. I'm not kidding you. They're core gaming backpacks where you can put your gaming system or your laptop in there. They have USB ports, controller ports, power ports in the freaking backpack. I had never seen a backpack like this. But because of everything slowing down, of course, those kind of things have slowed down as well. And so they're now doing it, and I have been negligent. I haven't went and looked at the whole product line, but they are switching to home office kind of stuff and killer kind of stuff like wireless earbuds and microphones. I'm actually supposed to be getting a care package from them very soon. And if you all know me and know the show, I generally save that kind of cool stuff to give away. Now, wireless earbuds I may end up using for the show or our shows, but other kinds of stuff we usually find some cool way to give away. Like we helped Ennis with Ava giveaway. We had some good entries there. I forget her name. The winner, don't freak out or don't fret. I am still sending that. It's Meredith is fixing to give me the raised eyebrow that I haven't sent it yet. But it is sending over here in a box right next to the studio. And so I will be getting that out. But yeah, Mobile Edge is moving into more of the home stuff because there's so many of us that are working from home, so many podcasts that have started up. We did start ours before the pandemic, but there's a lot of cool stuff that they're adding to their product line over there. And if you do use that code GEEK25, you get that 25% discount. And so Meredith, again, we've teased and teased, and then we teased again and went to a break. What is coming? What indie event is next?
Okay, so because I'm insane, probably certifiable. I woke up this morning and I should have been completely exhausted, and I am. But I am revived because this community is just so amazing. And the thing that we've been thinking about and talking about for months is doing kind of a horror event. So it's the next one is going to be in November. It's going to be different. It's going to be different from this past one. Each one we learn a little bit more and we're trying new things. We're not doing the weekend this time. We're taking a 5-day week, Monday through Friday, and we're doing basically shows in the evening that you can watch on replay. But the theme is horror, thrillers, crime, noir. And it's comic books, movies, music, prose, and we're bringing all of these things together. If you have a podcast and you want to be a part of the indie event, make sure that you contact me. If you write horror, if you have horror comics, we want you on the show. Yep. We are going to do panels and things. It's going to be interactive. It's going to be live streaming. I didn't talk to Varian and Randy and Rob about this because this was kind of like we had talked about this under the Geek Insider banner, but I don't see why we wouldn't collaborate again and share out the horror.
Exactly. And are we still going to call this the name that we came up with back in April?
Yeah, I think we've got to change it because originally in April, and I think we grabbed the URL.
Yes, we did.
It was originally the Night of the Dread.
Yep.
And since it's not just one night, we have to do something else. Nights. Yeah, Nights of the Dread.
We have I'm sorry, go ahead.
Here's the really cool thing. It's in November. So I looked at the calendar and I said, when in November? Because I know October is hella busy for a lot of people, especially in the horror industry and all that. And I said, well, if they got a week off from the Halloween stuff, and I looked at the calendar and I saw Friday the 13th, and I was like, holy hell, that's perfect. So Monday the 9th, and it ends Friday the 13th. We're going to be sending out invitations to the Full Moon Features people, to Shudder, I'm hoping Phantasmagoria. I haven't approached them yet, so this is kind of like, hi.
And hi. My little town here in Bastrop, Texas, we actually have the gas station that was used in the original Chainsaw Massacre, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They've turned it into a barbecue joint, which is kind of gnarly when you think about it. But they run a little horror convention here in our town every February or March, I believe. Now this year it was screwed up, but they have a lot of friends in the horror genre, and I have already spoken with the owners one-on-one. I've got to now, because this was just, the dates were just decided this morning. Meredith was like, hey, meet me. We got to discuss
Yeah,
the
and
next
he looked
one.
at me like, are you crazy or something?
Yeah,
Like, "What's wrong
and she
with
says
you?"
she might be certifiable crazy. Folks, trust me. After the couple of years I've known Meredith, she's definitely certifiable crazy. And so is Pat, her husband, for putting up with her.
There is no paperwork to prove that.
That's just because your mother never had you tested. That's the only reason.
Now, I actually have friends who have paperwork that say they're sane. I don't know if that's good or bad.
I'm not crazy. My mother had me tested. But as Meredith was saying, folks, if you or someone you know, because I spoke with someone today that I contacted for a very different reason, and their son actually is an independent horror filmmaker, and I went and looked at some of his stuff, and it's pretty damn cool. I'm going to be trying to have him on for the indie event. And so if you do comics, you do writing, there's some art or writers we've had in the past that we're
Screenplay.
Jackie. Yeah. Jackie Sonnenberg. There was somebody else. And then, like Meredith said, Full Moon Features. If you don't know who Full Moon Features is, this is the folks that made Puppet Masters, Doll Man. And we've already got a really great relationship with those folks over there. And we're really crossing fingers that we're going to get the main man himself. And look, I'm actually crossing my fingers, because he is
he's another get for you.
Exactly. Because I have been a Full Moon Features fan since the 80s, and we've met several directors, some of the actors from Full Moon, and we know that Charles is a fan of ours. It's just a matter of getting the time frame down.
I'm kind of curious to know, though, Randy, are you into horror at all?
I kind of burned through horror back during the. Oh, this is really going to date me. Back during the Betamax days.
Okay.
Oh Lord!
I remember Betamax.
Yeah, because we had a rental store up here called Super City, and I lived worked about a half an hour away from where I lived. And every night on my way home, I'd pick up 3 Betamax horror movies, take them home, and the wife, who's now the ex-wife, and I would sit and watch it. So I kind of associate horror with the previous marriage, which it was. Right. And it kind of just goes together. So I'm not a huge fan now of horror, though I do appreciate it when it's done extremely well, like American Horrors on Fox. I'll sit and watch. Or FX. Sorry. Yeah. I'll sit and watch that. An occasional horror movie, the old classics, of course, I'll sit and watch. But I really burned through a lot of. He's talking Full Moon era. That's Matt's talking the Full Moon era. That's right in that pocket for me. Yeah.
Oh, see, and I was a huge fan of Puppet Master, and I've told several of the directors we met, John Lachago and David Del Valle, that when I would go to Blockbuster or my local little video store, if I saw that full moon with a cloud on there, it didn't matter what it was. I would snag it because, I mean, like Pit and the Pendulum, man, that's a freaking classic. Doll Man, Critters, Critters was another one. Prehysteria, which that wasn't really the horror, but it was still one that, unless you knew Full Moon, you didn't know it was Full Moon.
Yeah.
And then of course Evil Bong, the whole Evil Bong series. And
I don't remember that, but that,
well,
it's okay.
And if you haven't already done so, folks, if you go on to Amazon Prime, Full Moon does have a channel on there to where you can get a lot of this old stuff, but you can also go. Damn, I forget the direct, but you can go to Full Moon Features and they have a link to their subscription service. And man, they've done some really cool stuff this year. They did the Deadly 12 or Deadly 10, excuse me, where they released a movie every month or every other month ish for the until the pandemic hit.
It was
No, it
10
was the Deadly 12.
No, it was the Deadly 10 because they were releasing 10 movies within a year.
Right. And the pandemic slowed it down, but they still are getting it
They're
done.
still going. They're still
Yep.
going. But
And then
speaking of station credits here, I want to give a shout out to Indie Volt. We'll be right back. All right. And Jennifer Padalino Drexler, I went to high school with her. She says Critters was great. And
it
Sarah
was.
is here. She says Wishmaster is a good one, too. I grew up with Amityville
remember
Horror,
Wishmaster.
the first one, and Omen still scares the hell out of me.
Oh, Omen and that trilogy, which was really one of the first trilogies of horror that we had back then. That one, you're right. It is one of those that really sticks with you. I still remember the line from the third one where Damien is there and God or Jesus is there and he says, "Nazareth, you have won nothing." But so those kind of things really stick with me. But the whole horror genre, I am an old school Stephen King fan, Clive Barker, Dean Koontz on some stuff. And I say old school Stephen King because I've said this before. We have two different Stephen Kings. We had the Stephen King before the accident and then the Stephen King after the accident, which he was replaced by aliens or pod people or something because his writing after that just was not the same.
I stopped reading him after that.
Yeah, I've read maybe 2, Cell, and one other since the accident were decent reads, and others I really tried because my God, The Stand is my favorite book of all time. Christine was really good. Salem's Lot. Just the list goes on and on for his old school stuff. And then The Fool Almost Dies, and we got a Mandela Effect Stephen King that just was not the same Stephen King. But, again, if you are or you have anyone in your family or friends that are into horror in any way, shape, or form, we want to hear from them for the week of November 9th through the 13th. Now, we're going to be doing Geek Speak in our regular time slot here, but we're going to be doing it Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 Eastern. And if we need to, because sometimes we get some very special guests, then we'll do it a little bit earlier. And now we might not be on IndieVolt on all of this. So again, you need to subscribe to our YouTube. You need to subscribe to IndieVolt's YouTube so that you can stay on top of this stuff. Because we at Geek Insider, again, we love the independents, but we love pop culture and anything geek-esque, or I say, geek-centric. And we have just so many things going on at any given time. Meredith and I meet almost every morning to discuss what's up for the day. I voluntold her for tons of stuff, and she voluntold me for tons of stuff. But this is our new home on IndieVolt here, and as well as, of course, our YouTube podcasts across most major platforms, except which one is it? Pandora. We're not, for whatever reason, they just have kind of stalled.
We're waiting on you, Pandora.
Yeah, Pandora. What the hell is up? We're everywhere else. Oh, yes, Jennifer. The Shining was a classic. That was my first Stephen King book. And then I saw the movie. It scared the living hell out of me. And it was so much different than the book. But anyway,
I didn't enjoy the movie. I much rather the book.
The first one, they butchered it. They butchered they butchered the story, and I mean, we could go into Kubrick's.
Yeah, I mean, we could do like hours.
I could do a whole show on Geeky Cheeky and Downright Freaky on The Shining.
But I do have a panel here that I want to show, and it's kind of a tease of what's to come. Well, the QR code is actually directed to INDEEvent.com or independencecon.com, and it's going to be updated right now. Probably in the next day or so, I'm going to be updating with timestamps of all the guests who were here with their QR codes that are being directed to their seller's site or their crowd fund or their social media, wherever it is that they wanted the people to go and visit them and learn more about their books. It was a great event. We had so many people who were involved, but we're kind of teasing with the skulls here because the next one we're doing a little differently. And the reason why is because I'm planning ahead and then we're locking down the schedule. And then after that, it's just confirmations and really trying to do a very nice presentation so that we have kind of like, we're teasing right now with the bumps in between with the live guests and the panels and things like that. I mean, we want to have value, but we want to have entertainment as well. So make sure that you visit this QR code, bookmark the site because it's always going to be changing. We're going, as the seasons come and we think of a new event, or it could be an extended weekend, it could be a one-day event. You never know what's going to pop up because INDEEvent is all about the independent creator, and that's what's really exciting about this.
And with, we're going to do the November 9th through the 13th, and then there's Christmas right behind that. We could just do one totally about Santa Stein, which is from our buddy Brian K. Morris. You just never know with what we're going to do around here because, like she said, we love the indies. And Jennifer, you're definitely right. The Shining was a classic. Carrie was a classic. Definitely, if you haven't done so, read The Stand. But damn it, I had another. Firestarter was another really great story, and I'm surprised they haven't remade that. But Randy, with the horror aspect of things, because we are switching into that mode. The Sunday Funnies. That's the exact opposite of horror. And
in a way, yeah, there is, but there's been some funny horrific stuff. There you got Casper and Spooky and Nightmare and Ghostly Trio.
Oh my God, this Casper! I used to love the Casper cartoon.
Tuffy, the tough little ghost, and Casper's. If you go back, we briefly touched on this on the Sunday Funnies, but Harvey comics. Everybody needs to go back and reread those old Harvey comics, especially the real early ones, because they are the most non-PC comics ever in comics. Casper, when he first started out, and they did this in the cartoons a little bit too, he was out trying to make friends and he'd scare everybody off. And he got so depressed, Casper did, that he tried to kill himself over and over again.
For me, the most un-PC books, and I'll put it this way. I've recently been blessed with a collection of quite a bit of them. Not in their normal form either. But I was gifted a collection of some of the EC books.
Oh, yeah.
Tales from the Crypt. And we're talking horror and comics.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I remember watching Tales from the Crypt with my father, who, again, the more and more I think about it, the last 2 weeks was just didn't give a damn what I watched. We'd watch Tales from the Crypt only because he liked to hear me do the Crypt Keeper's voice.
Right.
Make up.
Hello, kitties.
Yeah.
Hello, kitties.
You gotta. Hello, boys and girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys do that really too well.
Well, you're talking to three guys that watched it a lot.
Well, way back when in the 80s and 90s, I think Russ Cockrum got the rights from Gaines. Gaines had all of the original art for all the EC comics sitting in a vault. And he decided to get rid of them and sell them. But before he did, they all went through and made stats off of the originals and put together these beautiful hardbound volumes of all of the EC titles. And I've got just about, I think there's only one of the really old, early pre-EC volumes that I don't have, but I've got all the rest of them. And they're in beautiful slipcase sets with covers here. I got them. I got one right there next to my computer. In fact, I got one. Hang on. I can't pull that camera cord out enough. I've got one that one of my computer monitors are sitting on. That's the two-fisted tales that have to do with true war stories, true battle stories.
Oh, yeah.
But I've got Haunt of Fear and Tales from the Crypt and Vault of Horror and all of they're beautiful, beautiful volumes. They're all in black and white, and it's all. If you haven't seen the old EC books, what Gaines did back in the 50s is he went out and found the premier artistic sequential artists of the day to sit there and work for him, and it's beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. Williamson got started there. Frazetta got started there doing sequential work. Graham Ingalls, ghastly Graham Ingalls. There's just some absolutely beautiful material in there.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do a staff meeting during October, dressed as the Crypt Keeper. So I can walk in and just say, everyone looks at. I haven't done a voice in years, but to walk in and say, greetings, boys and ghouls. Excuse me while I put these gross prophets away.
Oh, dude, you
much better than mine. Bravo,
yeah,
Bravo team.
that Varian, that's standing ovation worthy there, buddy. You got him down. Yeah. I envisioned him right there coming up.
You should hear my pervert voice. This is my
that one he's had more practice on.
Right. And Krista,
there's 2 men in the bed. I need 2 men in the bed that move my bed. Once I get to 2 men, it'll be easy. Yeah. And just
good God, this show is devolving. And look, we're right at the hour mark. Varian, are we good to keep going, or we need to shut her down?
Don't stop.
Meredith has her microphone off. She's rolling. Her face is red. She's
right.
Pretty soon she's going to start banging on the table. I can see that happening.
Yep. And to see this, make sure you tune into the Indie Vault YouTube or the Geek Insider YouTube. And then I expect, Varian has said that, and we don't know when yet, I don't think, but this will be replayed on the Roku channel for Indie Vault.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be probably within a week. Probably within this week. I'm planning on uploading a lot of stuff. It'll be some night that I'm not streaming because the uploads take a considerable amount of bandwidth.
Yes.
Hey, we're streaming just about every night anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Now, Meredith, real quick, again, for this last weekend, one more time, you put this together on short notice. You and Rob had really decided to do this a month or so ago, and then it just kind of waited because I'm always volunteering you for stuff, and then boom, Meredith and Rob or Christian or Meredith and Varian or whoever has got to put these things together within a matter of just a couple of weeks. And that is the big reason you're saying, damn it, we are going to schedule now for the horror one in November, because yes, they've been some kick-ass shows that are only planned within, a couple of weeks at most, 2 to 3 weeks tops. But this time around, folks, we are giving it well over 2 months to get involved. And if we need to expand, like the first time around we did the virtual, what we called the virtual con, we expanded it from our original timelines that we thought. And so if we get enough horror folks that are involved or want to be involved, then we'll expand the times, we'll expand the days. But this is going to be a first come, first serve basis. And we might have panels with writers, panels with directors, panels with actors, and then I know we will be doing some one-on-one interviews. But again, this time around, I am going to be strict with Meredith because all in all, I am the boss at Geek Insider. But if you folks aren't following through on this stuff, Meredith isn't going to follow up. She's going to do an initial courtesy follow up. But after that, we're going to move on to somebody else, because these things are, granted, there might not be 90 people vying for your spot, but there are folks that want to take advantage of these, because we don't charge you. We don't charge the attendees. We do these things because we want to give value to our audience. We want to give value to our time, and then value to you. So, when Meredith says, hey, I need X, Y, and Z before, October 20th, then damn it, get it to her, or I'm going to make her give your spot to someone else.
Here's the thing. After coordinating this and being the keeper of the calendar, there are lessons that I learn, and sometimes I have to do it over and over to learn the lesson. But here's the thing. We are going to be extending invitations out to specific people, and we definitely want time slots. So, with anybody who's listening in the audience, and of course, anybody at IndieVolt, anybody at Comic Book Advocates, the theme is horror, crime, thrillers, noir. That's what we want. That is that theme. And it could be as broad, and it could be comic books, music, movies, prose, because under that Geek Insider banner, we do entertainment. It's not all comic books. And we want to expand your listening pleasure over here at IndieVolt and across multiple networks, and make those discoveries with this thing. Horror is huge. All right. I mean, horror or sex or both, it's all good. And, but here's the thing. We are going to be extending invitations out to people. Those invitations, they're going to have the right of first refusal. After that, we're filling in the gaps. And after that, we are closing the gates on it to new people, new shows, new guests, and things like that. Because when I'm doing this last minute stuff, Rob and I mean, we were hella busy the last 2 days, chasing down people, filling in the gaps and things like that. When we're doing that, it takes away from actually promoting you.
And not only that, your regular stuff that you have to do. Rob has things to do. Yeah, you have so many projects to do.
Exactly. By doing this and by taking the time to help promote you, your works and things like that, which is, I'm very passionate about doing that. That's what I'm good at. That's what I love to do. But when I extend the deadline, because I'm a nice person, it prevents me from my creative process or my time to write or create or do or
work on Terraform comics.
The day job, the night job and everything in between, because there are things
the afternoon job, the middle of the night job.
And I am thankful that my kids are grown, because that has given me the freedom of not having to chase down a child or worry about feeding somebody or
except for Pat. Except for Pat.
But he's he's and we won't talk about the baths. But I'm just saying that so the invitations will be going out. We're going to try and lock down those hours and those days. And right now I have tentative dates. I don't have the times yet. We do want to keep it more towards the afternoon evening, right? Because of the genre, and because we expect that there's going to be mature language and content and things like that. And but it doesn't have to be all like gore and blood and stuff. I mean,
I want surrealism. I want just anything that goes in that genre. But one reason that we're waiting till November, folks, is because we don't know what traditional conventions are going to be open in October at the for Halloween. At this point, there are some that are very established and that have a lot of visitors. And as we always say, we don't want these events to compete with the brick and mortar conventions. We want to exist alongside them. We want to help boost them. We love those conventions as much as anybody. Meredith goes to a shit ton of them in Florida, and I try to go to the ones here in Texas, and we're adding more folks all the time. And that's why it's that second week in October and ending on Friday the 13th, is so that we can give that extra leeway. Yeah, that was beautiful, Meredith. That was just an absolutely beautiful idea. And then we may go into the weekend. It just is a matter of participation, interest, and what is going to be viable for y'all, because we don't want to fill this with junk, but we want to make it because that's the other aspect, is we want to entertain our audience. And like Meredith said, we've got several things planned, from Full Moon, from Shudder. We got some stuff from Amazon Prime that's in the works. Quite possibly Netflix. We've worked a bit with Netflix, not as much as we wanted to, but we've worked some. So anybody out there with Netflix, whether US based or anywhere else, if you got something that'll fit into this. And we've said all this about contact us, but it's either Matthew@geekinsider.com or Meredith@geekinsider.com, which for some reason everybody contacts Meredith. I've been here longer. I'm the managing editor, but they always contact Meredith going, "Hey, Meredith, could we get involved in this?" And then she has to send it over to me going, "Hey, what about this?" But
yeah, so send Matthew the advertising and all that stuff. If you want to get on the calendar, send it to me. Send hate mail to Varian because we love him. No, seriously.
That didn't even get him to unmute, though. Oh, there he is.
I usually get the hate mail. It's fine.
But no, seriously though, we are getting this coordinated. I'd actually like to. I think I've got something at 9:30, so we're going to have to get cut out of here pretty soon. And I want to make sure that we say hello in the green room down here. But I wanted to give another shout out to IndieVolt for this opportunity to live stream to your audience with Geek Speak and working with Geek Insider. We really appreciate that. And, for everybody who's tuning in, we appreciate you. Tune in. Make sure, please, if you are listening on IndieVolt Radio, on the listening app or Streama, make sure that you go over to the YouTube channel, look up IndieVolt. You're going to see the fist holding the microphone. You're going to see the lightning bolt. Make sure you go over there and hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Then head over to Geek Insider and hit our YouTube channel as well. One of the things that we're trying to do is by monetizing our YouTube, it allows us to pay for the bandwidth. It allows us to pay for things
the
like
radio
StreamYard.
show.
StreamYard has costs associated to it, server costs for the websites and things like that. So it's not like we have a tip jar or anything. Really, it's all about the subscribing. Because in order to monetize YouTube, you need a minimum of 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 listening hours in a 12-month period. We know we've got the people who are tuning in. We need the subscribers. So if you're listening in, please go over to YouTube, subscribe, and then share it out with your friends. That's how you show love. And we appreciate every single one of you who do that. Thank you very much. I'm going to pass the microphone back to who wants it.
Give it to Randy. He's been over there sitting quietly.
I know.
To do what? What are you going to pass me?
Promote your shows.
Hey,
Promote your shows. Tell people where to find you.
You got IndieVolt Live as well, and Breakfast Buzz.
Yeah, we'll be back on tomorrow night at 9 p.m. For the regular IndieVolt live podcast. And then Thursday mornings, we do the Breakfast Buzz at 9 a.m. We usually like to take the 9s. And that's a little bit more lighthearted. Sometimes it gets a little bit more industry focused. Wednesday nights, though, we also run the Geekgasm program with the Indie Princess that is geekdom from a more feminine perspective. Or at least as well as they can in order to get guests to come onto the program. And then Saturday, Rob comes on and covers a controversial topic, also at 9 p.m. And all of these times are Eastern times. And then I got the Sunday Funnies at 9 a.m. on Sunday. where we talk about the exact opposite from Rob's program. No, we talk about the more lighthearted and whimsical side of comics. Like Matt was saying, some books maybe you completely forgot about, and some books that
Very much,
that you might want to know about in order to try to dig up and read. We always encourage people on the Sunday Funnies to take a couple hours out at their local retailer, go through and dig through those long boxes for all those little hidden treasures. And remember, they've probably been sitting there for a few years, so you're gonna get them cheap.
Yep, 50 cents, a quarter.
The Sunday Funnies also. Now, is John Celestri going to be a regular guest or a co-host?
Oh no, he will be definitely popping in and out as he pleases, and so will Daphne Lage, who does Tall Tales, and J.D. Calderon whenever he's awake. Most of the time he's not, so he sleeps in Sunday mornings. A lot of people sleep in Sunday mornings, but if you sleep in Sunday mornings, all of this stuff was archived over at the IndieVolt YouTube channel, and you can find some of it over on the Roku, and just tune into IndieVolt radio at indievolt.com, and you never know what'll pop in and out. We're finding the more that we run comic accented, or variant I should say, is finding out the more he runs comics oriented content, the higher his numbers go. So we are really trying to push IndieVolt Radio over 100,000 listeners worldwide, so Varian has to spend more money on broadband.
Which is why you need to subscribe to YouTube and help us monetize the channel.
Yes, and please subscribe to the IndieVolt channel on YouTube. We get a lot of people over there, but we don't have a lot of subscribers, like what you were saying earlier.
Yeah, they watch. And folks, I get it. You go over and you watch a specific episode and you go, well, when I'm ready to listen again, I'll go and look them up. But you just don't understand that subscription, that subscribe click that you do just helps us out in just so many ways. Not only to be able to monetize through YouTube, but it's something that we can show potential advertisers that we have X amount of subscribers. And
I meant it with love, JD. We all know you sleeping.
And one thing that I was, I kind of mentioned it to you, Randy, the other day, or I mentioned it on the show. You mentioned we have the Geekgasm at 9 on Wednesdays. Well, I also have my solo show, Geeky, Cheeky, and Downright Freaky, which is available on our podcast as well as our YouTube channel. I'm going to be nipping on Varian's heels to see about getting that added to IndieVolt as a lead-in to Geekgasm. Because we talk about the weird shit over there. We talk about the Mandela effect and are aliens real, are angels real, the multiverse, simulation theory, just any of those kind of fringe, kind of geeky things. And
that's available over on the Geek Insider channel, right? On YouTube?
Yep.
So I can go back and dig up all the old episodes there, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing
that's my wheelhouse, man. I don't know how I missed that program.
Well, and the thing is also, if the listeners who are tuning in are interested, let Varian know. And it's quite possible, not that I'm voluntolding him anything, but it's quite possible that it could migrate over here. You just never know. You never know. I mean,
it's actually one of our more popular shows on Geek Insider, especially when I did like the Mandela effect and changes to the Bible 2 weeks ago.
And you've got a guest too.
Yeah, well, last week we had Pastor Luke Stone on, and we discussed changes to the Bible, or 2 weeks ago. This week I'm having Pastor Luke Stone back on, but we're going to discuss just actual Mandela effects, not changes to the Bible, because I brought up some to him that he was just freaking out. One, we shared several of the changes, and then some he was like, wait, what do you mean this isn't the way that I remember? And so and he has some really unique, or not unique, but he has some really interesting ideas on what the cause of the Mandela effect could be, and along with religion, because he is a theologian, he is a practicing man of the cloth, and some of you will know him from IndieVolt and from Rob's show, the Comics Newswire, and all of that, because he is a comic book writer as well, but he is a pastor, and that is something he's done for years. And so we're having him on this Wednesday, and again, that's at 8 o'clock Eastern on our YouTube channel, as well as Facebook. If you follow Geek Insider or Meredith or myself on YouTube or Facebook, those shows will be available. But that's my pitch in a basket.
We've actually got to get wrapped up and stuff. So
you got shit to do.
Yeah, we got shit to do. But we appreciate everybody who's been listening and tuning in. Thank you very much. Geek Speak will be here on Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you tune in.
Wait, real quick. Next week, we're going to have Christian Basel from The Legend of the Traveling Tardis, which is a Doctor Who radio show. The week after that, it is in question. We've got a couple, whether it's going to be Billy Tucci or Leonardo Cabrucci, which he is the director and writer of Cyborg's Universe on Amazon Prime. So it's going to be one of those two, and then the other one will be within a week or two after that. And then we've got Brie, not Larson, I forget her name. She's a writer that's doing a follow-up to Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and it's a cool little thing that Rob Anderson actually reviewed, and that's going to be going up on the site. But we have a full September full of kick-ass guests coming on Monday nights on Indie Volt Radio, and I suspect that October and November are even going to be bigger. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, Meredith, but I knew you would forget all that shit.
That's it. We're out of here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
You've been tuning in to Geek Speak with Matthew Harris and Meredith Loughran, a Geek Insider presentation. Subscribe to the Geek Insider podcast on your favorite listening app and sign up for the newsletter on our website. We also have advertising opportunities through the website, podcast, and newsletter. For details, contact advertising at geekinsider.com. This has been a Geek Insider production. Thank you for listening. Geek out.